Morning, all. All right, so draft time, right? So the draft is tomorrow. It'll be at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. We, of course, will have a live stream on the channel. I intend for that to start like 15 minutes before, so like 3:45 Pacific, 6:45 Eastern. And then on Friday, rounds 2 through 7 take place. It'll be from 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Pacific till, or 11 a.m. Eastern, I should say, till whenever. That second live stream, we won't keep it going through the whole seven rounds, but it's going to be interesting because there's some teams that will be picking a lot. We're gonna be doing a lot of talking about. I've been talking enough about Montreal that I decided to wear a Laval Rocket jersey because I've been wearing Montreal jerseys a lot lately, and Montreal has 14 picks in this draft. So, going through this morning and going through who's drafting where, let's just go through each team because there's some interesting things with this draft, right? It's not considered to be a superstar laden draft, but it's considered to be a very deep draft. A lot of players who are going to play in the NHL past the first round, guys who have some good upside. And so, of course, there's going to be players who end up being really good. If you look at the 2012 draft as one that people look back on and they scoff and all this, but there were plenty of good players out of the 2012 draft as well. So, the Pittsburgh Penguins have their own first round pick. It's number 21. It's the only pick they have in the first two rounds. They have their own fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, so they have a grand total of 5 draft picks, which tells you that Pittsburgh, going into the trade deadline, didn't see themselves as needing extra picks. It's always interesting to see which teams trade away picks. Pittsburgh has traded away picks plenty, but this year they have their own first. Then you go to Winnipeg, 7 picks for them. They have 2 firsts, the one from the Rangers, that's 30th overall. So they pick 14th, then they pick 30th, and then they have St. Louis the second, which lands at 55th in the draft. They have Columbus's third, Arizona's fourth, and then a sixth and a seventh. So 7 picks altogether. But in terms of their own picks, they traded all of them except for a scant few. So for the Winnipeg Jets, we'll see how tomorrow's draft goes, drafting 14th and 30th. There might be a chance you try to pack those two together in order to move up, but I doubt it. The team that I would keep an eye on tomorrow is Arizona. Arizona, I think, could very well turn this draft into a windfall for them. Colorado doesn't pick until 97th overall. That's the last pick of the third round. There's more than 32 picks in the second round because there's a compensatory pick that went to the Minnesota Wild. So it means that you have 97th pick being the third rounder. So yeah, Colorado only has 4 picks. They have their own third, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Having just won the Stanley Cup, I would imagine they think that's a fair trade-off. The New York Rangers, they have 4 picks altogether. They have their own second, which is 63rd overall. Winnipeg's 4th round pick, and then a 5th and a 6th. So only 4 picks. So if you're a Rangers fan, you can kind of skip the draft. That's the thing, if you're a Colorado fan, wake me up when it's training camp, right? So this is the interesting thing where teams that were in the Final Four seem to have traded out picks and probably don't regret it. Columbus has some picks early. They have 2 firsts, which are 6th and 12th overall. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not they're going to deal one of those picks or use both. I would think they use both, personally. Again, it's a deep draft. I think if they pick a forward and a defenseman, I think that's fine. They have a 2nd round pick. They have Tampa Bay's 3rd round pick, a 4th rounder, and then Anaheim's 7th round pick. So in total, they have 6 picks. So this isn't quite a rebuild number, but it's not bad in that they have 2 firsts and they have their own 2nd round pick, which is 44th overall. So not too shabby. Then you get to Nashville. Now, if you're looking at just the first 2 rounds, Nashville only has the 17th pick, and then they don't have a second. They have 2 thirds, 2 fourths, a 5th, and a 7th, so they have 7 picks altogether. There's 7 rounds, there's 7 picks. So Nashville, we can debate at a later time if Forsberg goes what they might have been able to get in terms of extra picks, but yeah, 7 picks, not too shabby. Boston, I've had issues with them trading their first. They did it again. They have a 2nd round pick. That's 54th overall. They have Calgary's 3rd round pick. They have a 4th, a 6th, and 2 7ths. So they have 6 picks overall. But again, if you're a Boston fan, you can kind of skip this year's draft. And there's no reason to watch necessarily tomorrow. I do not see Boston trying to move up into the first round. And they don't really have the capital to do it. Their 2nd round pick of 54th doesn't have a lot of value. So being able to move up into the first round, you'd have to add quite the sweetener. Florida has no picks in the first 2 rounds. If you're a Florida fan, you probably won't be in the live stream tomorrow. Their first pick is 93rd overall, which is in the 3rd round. They have their own 4th, their own 5th, then they have 2 6ths and a 7th. So they have 6 picks overall. But again, Florida clearly seeing themselves as a favorite and a contender, trade out their 1st and 2nd round picks. Arizona, so there's 10 picks, but they've really loaded up the first 2 rounds. So if you're a Coyotes fan, I expect to see you in the live stream tomorrow. No jokes about there not being Coyotes fans. There absolutely are. 3 first-round picks. That's 3rd, 27, and 32nd. But it really gets interesting in the 2nd round. They have 4 seconds. 34th, 36th, 43rd, 45th. I did a double take. I was like, seriously? So they're picking 32nd, 34th, 36th, 43rd, 45th after they've picked 27th. What are they going to do? Are they going to keep all these picks? Are they going to trade down? Are they going to trade for next year's draft picks? Are they going to try to put somebody in their lineup using a draft pick or 2 out of there? That's a lot of good draft picks. Really, seriously. Arizona is in good shape. So they have the 3 firsts, the 4 seconds, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 6th. So they have 10 picks overall. Again, I'd do a double take when I was putting this board together. Buffalo, 3 firsts, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th. New Jersey's 5th round pick, 2 6ths and 2 7ths. So they have 11 picks overall. They picked 9th, 16th, 28th, and 41st. And again, I would expect there to be discussion of, are they going to move up? Is there going to be moving up? Or could they package up a couple and move down? That whole fun stuff, right? So we'll see what Buffalo does at the draft table tomorrow. San Jose. San Jose has a 1st, a 3rd, a 4th, 2 5ths, a 6th, and 3 7ths. Remember, with a 7th round pick, you're looking at a very small percentage that make the NHL. 9 picks overall, but their only pick over the first 2 rounds is at 11th overall. So again, San Jose and this is where when people ask, well, haven't they already been in a rebuild? No. This is where you can see which teams are in a rebuild. You have Arizona with 7 picks, you have Buffalo with 4 picks, and you have San Jose with 1 in the first 2 rounds. That's where you can tell who said we're in a rebuild, we're going out and picking up draft picks, and who hasn't. And it is a hallmark of putting together a really good, proper rebuild. Chicago do not have their own 1st round pick. They have 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 6ths, and a 7th. So what happened to them was they were trading out draft picks believing they were going to be in contention. They're not. They have 7 picks overall. The Chicago fans can probably skip the 1st round tomorrow. I don't think Chicago trades into the 1st round. They have a 38th and a 57th. So it's possible that you take the 38th and 57th, package it up, send it to Arizona for their 32nd overall, and then Arizona would have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds and just move down a few spots to make it happen. So, sure, why not? Bettman will be just standing up there with just a stack of Arizona jerseys. So, yeah, 7 picks. They have 2 in the 2nd round, so I'm guessing I'll see Chicago fans on Friday. Tampa Bay, 1st round pick, they have it, which kind of surprises me when I see that, right? I would expect Tampa to have traded their 1st. They have Chicago's 4th round pick, their own 5th, 2 6ths and 2 7ths. So they have 7 picks altogether, but their only pick in the first 2 rounds is 31st overall. So we'll see if they keep it. We'll see what else they do and if they might try to add another pick. But while there's been a lot of talk about where picks are going to go and who's going to go for what, we haven't seen it yet. Usually on draft day, we see a lot of trades, and I stop even following which picks have been traded and for what other picks because it just gets ridiculous. LA, they have a 2nd round pick of their own. That's 51st overall. They then have Pittsburgh's 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th. So they have 5 picks overall. So until the 51st overall pick, Kings fans won't be all that excited. And even then, my guess is whoever they take at 51st, there'll be a who reaction. And I want to do an update as well on how I'm going to do the draft prospect videos going forward. Because I'm thinking about doing it this way for next year's draft as well. So for Ottawa, they have their own 1st, 2 seconds. So they have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. They then have 2 thirds, a 4th, 3 5ths, a 6th, and New York Islanders 7th round pick. So they have 11 overall. They draft 7th overall, 39th, and 64th. And again, maybe you package 39 and 64. You move them to Arizona, you get 36. And then Arizona has more draft picks. I would like to find a way to EA NHL this up to where Arizona's got like 25 draft picks in the first few rounds. But yeah, for Ottawa, they're still in the rebuild, kind of. It feels like they have all the pieces to come out of the rebuild. I'm not all that concerned. There's talk about them moving that number 7 pick. Now, whether or not you want to go and pick up other draft picks, or if you just want to get a player, that's where the question comes in. But yeah, the number 7 pick apparently is in play. There's been talk of the number 6 pick of Columbus being in play as well. Dallas, they have their own first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So they have 6 draft picks. They're all their own. Pretty boring. They pick 18th and they pick 50th tomorrow. Toronto, 3 picks. They have a first round pick, Winnipeg's third, and then a 7th. So they draft 25th overall, and then they're waiting for the Winnipeg third rounder after that. For Toronto, that's what all in looks like. To me, all in says you don't have draft picks. So yeah, 3 picks. That is the lowest number on the board, I'm thinking. Yep, that's the lowest number on the board. Philadelphia. Again, Philadelphia, like Chicago, expected to be better, so they don't have a ton of draft picks right now. They have a first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7th. So they have 6 picks, but at least of the first round and second round picks, well, they don't have a second rounder, they do pick 5th overall. So I expect them to keep that unless they trade that pick somehow to Arizona and figure out what happens. I'm going to make all the trades with Arizona. There you go. Everything's going to Arizona. You guys want to say Shannon's starting a rumor, go with Shannon says all the draft picks are going to Arizona. And there will be people who go, that would make some sense. All right, Seattle, you can only sign 50 guys to a contract. That's it. Seattle's going to be busy in the second round. They have their own first, then they have 4 second round picks. And it's interesting because I know one of the main criticisms of Ron Francis has been he didn't get any draft picks. He had that expansion draft. He didn't get draft picks. He got them after. Third round pick, they have 3/4, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. Seattle has 12 picks. So they draft 4th, 35th, 49th, 58th, and 61st. Might I suggest they pack up 4 of those draft picks and send them to Arizona and see what they can get from Arizona. But all kidding aside, the 49th, 58th, 61st, we'll see if they take all those or if they might package a couple to move up, again with Arizona. But for Seattle, 5 picks in the first 2 rounds. So Arizona's got 7, Seattle has 5. So 65 guys getting drafted in the first 2 rounds, and 12 of them are going to go to Seattle and Arizona. You have a good chance if you say, I think this guy's going to be drafted by Seattle or Arizona. You have a good chance of being right. Minnesota, 2 first-round picks for them, 2 seconds, a 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. I think Minnesota's done well for themselves. I do. They have 8 picks overall. They draft 19th, 24th, 47th, and 56th. So again, if they want to take one of those picks and maybe move now, and this is serious, if they want to move it to get what they feel like is that last piece to put them over the top, that could happen. We'll see. And because again, I don't think Minnesota's that far off. I think what we saw against St. Louis showed that they're close. And again, they showed that last year against Vegas. It has to be frustrating for Minnesota fans, and I apologize because I know that frustration. Washington, they have their own first, which is 20th overall. They have Winnipeg's second round pick, which is 46th overall. A 3rd, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. They have 6 picks overall. So for Washington, we'll see what kind of day they have, but not picking until 20th means that it probably won't be anything really exciting that they get at that spot. Anaheim has 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 4th, 2 5ths, and Nashville's 6th. They have 8 picks. I would be very surprised if Anaheim doesn't add picks tomorrow. Pat Verbeek quite openly saying that they're doing the rebuild, right? So they draft 10th, they draft 22nd, they draft 42nd, they draft 53rd. So again, look for them to maybe be a team that's looking to add another, maybe they add a 3rd. They don't have a 3rd, so maybe they look to add a 3rd, look to add a 7th. It doesn't take much to add a 7th, and then you'd be up to 10 picks without having to give up a whole lot in all likelihood to do that. Vegas have their own second round pick. Of course, they don't have their own first. That second round pick is 48th overall. They then have New York's, the Rangers' third round pick. 2 5ths, a 6th, and a 7th, so they have 6 picks overall. Vegas, much like Philly and Chicago, expected to be in the playoffs. And so draft picks, and this is the thing with Vegas, keeping draft picks, keeping prospects, developing prospects, they've got to start doing that a little more and have that figured out, because once this core is older, and they're getting older every day, you're going to need those young guys that can step in and really play. So for Vegas, we'll see how it goes. Detroit, they have their own first, which is 8th overall. They have 2 seconds, which are 40th and 52nd. They have a 3rd, 3/4, a 5th, and 2 7ths. So 10 picks overall for Steve Yzerman when he comes up to pick at number 8. I would be very surprised if Yzerman doesn't do another Moritz-Seider. I would be very surprised if he doesn't go up there and pick somebody that seems to be not necessarily out of left field, but somebody we say, well, he probably could have got him later. That seems to be the standard with Detroit now under Yzerman. Do not doubt him. You doubt him at your own peril. St. Louis, they have a first-round pick of their own, which is 23rd. Then they have a 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, all their own picks. So they have 5 picks overall. If there's a player St. Louis, and again, with the teams that don't have a lot of draft picks, if they see a player that they like that's still available, say on Friday for round 2, don't be surprised to start seeing some deals taking place then. But again, it would probably be pick for pick, which are not sexy trades. We'll see like a dozen trades, and then they mention it, on draft day. Oh, there were 15 trades today, and then it'll be but that was a 4th for 2/3, and that was 2 6ths for a 7th. Like this kind of. Don't do it that way. That's backwards. All right. So first round pick for Vancouver. They draft 15th, and then they don't have a second. They have a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. They have 6 picks, and this has been Vancouver's problem. You have 6 picks for Vancouver. You have 11 for Ottawa. So that tells you which team has been prioritizing getting extra picks. Now, under Alvin, I expect that to change. I expect now for Vancouver not to be so anxious to move draft picks because it has absolutely hurt them. They only pick 15th. They don't have a second-round pick. It is possible that Vancouver knocks on the door of Arizona. They've been trade partners before. I'm a little nervous about them trading with Arizona yet again. However, Benning's not doing the trade, so I don't expect another big contract coming back. New Jersey's going to be interesting to watch. They have their own 1st and 2nd, which are 2nd overall and 37th. They have 3 4th-round picks after having their own 3rd-round pick. Columbus is 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. So 9 draft picks for the New Jersey Devils. And, of course, that number 2 is rumored to be in play. I wouldn't be all that surprised if there was a trade to be made with a team that has multiple first-round picks. So, for instance, Columbus could probably offer a pretty good package to New Jersey for that 2nd overall pick, including, say, the 12th, right? Just as an example, that would kind of work. Maybe if San Jose wants to if Mike Greer says, I'm going to make a big splash my first time out, he takes that 11th pick and a player, sends it to New Jersey for that number 2 pick, and then you might be looking at a pretty solid forward group if you have, say, Slavkovsky, and then you'd have Eklund coming in too, right? So, we'll see what happens there. Montreal, very busy day for Montreal, thus the Laval garb, because some of these guys are going to get picked and play in Laval soon. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 3 fourths, a 5th, a 6th, and 2 7ths. So 14 picks, over 14 picks. They have the 1st pick, of course, which is probably going to be Shane Wright. 26th, 33rd, and 62nd. Well, I say it should be Shane Wright. There's been rumors of Slavkovsky, and they've talked to Logan Cooley plenty as well. So it's likely to be one of those 3. Although Cutter Gauthier has been rumored to end up in the top 3 as well, which is why I haven't done the mock draft yet. I'll work on it. Carolina, so they have their own 2nd-round pick. Then they have Chicago's 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, 2 6ths, and 2 7ths. They have 8 picks overall, but in the first 2 rounds, they have pick number 60. So for Carolina, a team that's a contender, you trade out your first-round pick, and you're drafting late in the 2nd round. New York Islanders, they have their own 1st, right? They have Colorado's 2nd-round pick, then they have a 3rd, a 5th, and a 6th. So only 5 picks for the New York Islanders. Again, a team that was expected to be in the playoffs. So they draft 13th overall and 65th overall as well. For the Calgary Flames, well, I left the Battle of Alberta for last, and it wasn't on purpose. It was mainly I just wanted to put the teams in a different order than I normally do. So I just lined them up. But Calgary, for fans of the Flames, you guys aren't going to be all that busy anyways. They have a 2nd-round pick, a 5th, and a 7th. They have 3 picks overall. They don't draft till 59th overall. So for Calgary, a team that might be saying goodbye to Johnny Gaudreau, they don't have a lot of draft capital either. So just the 3 picks. We'll see if Brad Treliving tries to get extra picks in the draft, right? And then you have Edmonton. Edmonton has their own 1st, which is 29th overall, but then they don't draft again until the 5th. They have a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th, so they have 4 picks altogether, all their own picks. And again, for Edmonton, a team that was in the Final Four, sees themselves as a contender, but they've got a lot to work on. They got to figure out their goaltending. They got to figure out if they're going to bring Kane back, and if they don't, how they replace him. So, you guys are all set for the draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, and we'll see how many more first or second round picks Arizona adds, how many more second round picks Seattle adds, and the 14 picks for the Montreal Canadiens. Man, but it is remarkable. Montreal's got the top number on the board with 14. The smallest number on the board, Toronto and Calgary, both have 3. So for Canadian fans, there's not a lot of Canadian draft picks other than the Montreal Canadiens, the Ottawa Senators, kind of just hoarding those picks. Whereas you got Winnipeg with 7, Vancouver with 6, Edmonton 4, and Calgary and Toronto both with 3. So, yeah, should be fun. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.